everyone, and welcome to A Stitch in Time. Today is Tuesday, February 1st, 2022, and this is episode 208. My name is Carol, my Ravelry name is Knits and Pearls, and I live in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, Canada, not too far east of Vancouver. Hope you've all had a good week. Can you believe it is February? This year is already going by so quickly. We are 1/12 of the way through 2022. How is that possible? That means we are also 1 month through the year of the stash. If you are new here, first of all, welcome. Second of all, you might be wondering, what is the Year of the Stash? And that is a year-long make-along that is taking place in the A Stitch in Time podcast Ravelry group. And there are two components to it. One is a year-long chatter thread in which prizes will be awarded monthly just for taking part in chit-chatting about what you're making and complimenting other people on their projects. And the second is a monthly knit along, which is a personal sock yarn club in which you have the chance to knit up to 12 skeins of stashed sock yarn. There is a knit along for each month. You have a chance to win a prize in either the chatter thread for that month or the FO thread for that month. And you have up to 2 months to knit a pair of socks. So because it is now February, that means I have the winner of the January portion of the chatter thread to announce today. So I took posts 4 through 283. I took off a few at the beginning and a few at the end that were my posts to minimize the chances of me choosing my own number. So I used a random number generator, and amazingly, first crack at it, I got someone other than myself. That was post 166, and the winner for that was Melanie Gillette. And in that particular post, she was showing off some West Yorkshire Spinners yarn that she said had been in her stash for about 5 years, and she was making a cozy cardigan out of it. She had attempted several before, and this time she settled on the pattern Isla. So congratulations, Melanie. What you have won, courtesy of Ashley from Monkey and Mouse, is one of her in-stock project bags. So go ahead to the second post in the general thread, and there is a link to Ashley's Instagram shop. So take a look at her in-stock project bags, and then I'll get you to send me a Ravelry message, and I will give you Ashley's email, and you can contact her and let her know which of her bags that you would like to receive. And in the meantime, I'll let Ashley know to expect your email. So congratulations once again, Melanie. So the prize for the February portion of the general chatter thread is very kindly and generously donated by Lisa of Fiber Nymph Dye Works, and she is donating a $30 gift card to her shop. So the winner for that portion will be drawn after February 28th, and I will announce it on the first regular episode of March 2022. So speaking of Lisa of Fiber Nymph Dye Works, she has also generously donated a $30 gift card to her shop for the finished projects portion of the January Personal Sock Yarn Club. That winner will be announced also at the beginning of March, because you have up until February 28th to finish your January socks, but they must have been cast on sometime in January. And then the winner from the January chatter thread for the Personal Sock Yarn Club will win this project bag that I've made. and it's going to come along with this cute little box. Looks like a little macaron. It was donated by Allison, who is AJ Borthwick. I'm trying to open it. There we go. And I have some stitch markers on the way that I'm going to put in here. So like I say, you can continue to chatter in the January chatter thread and continue to post your finished January socks in the January FO thread. But because it is February 1st, I have opened up the February threads for the Personal Sock Yarn Club. So you're free to go ahead and cast on your February socks, and you have up until the end of March to finish that pair. And then the prizes for that portion of the Personal Sock Yarn Club will be awarded in early April. I haven't yet put together the prizes for that portion of the make along. I am still waiting for some things to arrive. So as soon as I get that sorted out, I will let you know. So I thought it might be fun to open my own yarn for the February Personal Sock Yarn Club while I'm recording. I went ahead, I put 12 skeins at the end of the year. I put 12 skeins into 12 bags, and I know I remember a couple of them, but I have no idea what's inside here. I have totally forgotten what I put in for February's yarn. So let's find out together, shall we? Thought that would be kind of fun. Crinkle, crinkle, crinkle. It's actually really fun because I have no idea. Oh, okay. Here it is. So I bought this yarn at Knit City back in the fall. It is from Crafty Jack's Boutique. It is the Tough and Tender Fingering, which is a 90% superwash targhee and 10% nylon base. And the color is Beachcomber. So yeah, it's not a base I've ever knit with before, and I was intrigued and wanted to try it out. So I will be most likely casting these on later today. So that's really fun because like I said, I'd totally forgotten. Okay, so I have another giveaway winner to announce, and I actually thought I would draw that while I record also. So back in April, I had tried out some 9-inch circular needles for knitting socks. Didn't like them, offered them up for a giveaway, and the winner was Treva, who is TP Mom on Ravelry. And it turns out she doesn't like them either, so she's offered to pass them on to another good home for anyone who wants to try them. So there are only a few people that were up for the challenge, so I've put your names in the little bowl here, and I'm going to draw out, see who the next person is who gets to try the 9-inch circulars. And Treva's very generously, did I mention that? She's going to mail them to you. And the winner is Dorothy Rainey. So Dorothy, if you're on Ravelry, can you please send me a Ravelry message and let me know your mailing information? Or if you are not on Ravelry, drop me an email at this email address, and I will forward your mailing information on to Treva, and she'll get those in the mail for you. So thanks again, Treva, for offering to pass these along to another good home, and maybe it will be their forever home. That would be awesome. Okay, so let's get into projects. I only have 2 that I've mainly been working on. I did do a little bit of work on my Ashland sweater, but not enough to show it to you. I started working on the neck shaping for the front and just working my way up the back of it. So nothing much different from last week. But I do have a finished project. So last week I mentioned that I was going to be making a baby sweater for my new great niece, and I chose the pattern called Showered in Rainbows by Stephanie Lotvin, and it's part of a book that uses self-striping sock yarn, and I bought it on Kindle, so it wasn't, in the end, the price wasn't much more than it would be for purchasing a separate pattern on Ravelry. So I knit it from this opal yarn. This is opal glitter, and this is the Shine colorway, which is 96.70. So if you can see there, that's what it looks like knit up into a sock. And here's what it looks like knit up into a sweater. Isn't it cute? I was a little bit worried that these colors might be too bright, but I think it is really fun for a little girl. It's sparkly yarn, so that's a plus in my books. And I just thought these bright pink, blue, green, yellow, a little bit of orange, I just thought they were so fun. And this sweater is has a modular construction. So you start out by working each side, and then you pick up along each side and you work this way towards the center back. Once you finish that, you do a 3-needle bind off and join the two backs together. And then you pick up along each side, along the fronts, and you work that way, constructing the button and buttonhole bands as you go. And then when that's all done, you pick up the stitches around, well, I guess you do a 3-needle bind off here on the shoulders. You actually do that after you knit the side parts. Then you pick up along the armhole and work your sleeve out to the cuffs. So you're all finished, and then you do a little neck band and bottom band also. So I'm going to bring this up closer so you can get a closer look at the yarn and the colors and the construction. So I did very little yarn management. I more or less let the sweater become what it wanted to be. The odd time, if I was starting with just a very short length of a color, I sometimes skipped ahead to the next color just so it would create more of a striping effect. But yeah, it was just super fun. So the only thing I'm lacking, as you might be able to tell, is buttons. So I have to pick up buttons. I actually added an extra button. This is the 6 to 12 months size, and I just felt like I wanted the closure to end sort of more even with the underarms. It was going to be up higher, just because I think, if I remember correctly, I think the instructions are the same for all the sizes as to where to put the buttonholes. Don't quote me on that, but I think it is. And I just felt like it needed a little bit more stability there in the front, a little bit more room for buttonholes. So I was thinking I might try and find some green ones. That seems to be one of the predominant colors in the skein. So I thought if I could find some little green buttons in this color, that would set it off well. Let's see here. Yeah, because this is the way it'll button. So they'd show up here on the pink. So that's kind of what I have in mind, but I'll see what they have at the fabric store and go from there. So highly recommend this pattern. It was really fun to knit. I didn't want to put it down. It just was so neat to see how all the different colors played together. And I found it easy to follow. One thing I really liked is I had done a little bit of a swatch, and I knew that my stitch gauge was good, but I was a little bit off on my row gauge. And what I liked is you were able to just knit as far as you wanted. So on these sections, that went, you know, from top to bottom. They would say, you know, knit till it's such and such a length. And so that way, even if my row gauge was a little bit off, I was able to get the correct length that I needed, and width for that matter. So yeah, really fun. One more quick look at it. So hopefully they don't mind, the parents don't mind lots of color and lots of sparkle, because that's what this is. And I thought I would pick up a little pair of jeans and a little t-shirt that matched and send it as a set. So while I was waiting for the next installment of the Personal Sock Yarn Club to begin, I felt the need to cast on another pair of socks. And so that's what I'll share with you next. So I chose a skein of yarn that was fairly new to me, this Leo and Roxy. It is the 80-20 sock in the Patches to Patches colorway. And I picked this up in Victoria when we went to visit my mother-in-law and other in-laws, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, in November. And my daughter was with us, and our daughter was with us, and we went to Beehive Wool Shop, which I always love visiting when I'm in Victoria. So this is what the yarn looks like. And I had seen a pair of socks that was knit up in this yarn, which inspired me to buy it. So I cast these on well, last Tuesday night actually, because we were heading out on a bit of a holiday Wednesday morning, and I wanted to have them to work on in the car. So I started out, this is how they started knitting up. And because of that bright pink, I thought it would be fun to add a bright pink heel. And then I continued knitting. But one thing I was noticing as I was knitting is how much more saturated this pink was, especially at the beginning, and how it just seemed to fade out as the skein went on. And actually, this sock that was knit in the shop was more like this than like this. So I really hummed and hawed about it, but I decided to cast on from the other end of this skein, because I had it balled up, but I'd been working from the outside, and I thought I'm going to start pulling from the inside, cast on the second sock and see what it looks like, because my impression just from looking at the ball was that it was going to be much less saturated from here on out. And sure enough, the other of the end of the ball is proving to be, again, less saturated. And so even though it kind of breaks my heart because I've put in a lot into this first sock, I'm gonna take this out and I'm gonna knit both socks from the other end of the ball so that they look more similar. And I thought that way, here where it looks quite a bit different, that'll be nice if I do, you know, a blanket square or some other small project, then at least the yarn will have more saturation, more color to it than what I was getting down here. So yeah, I guess in all I probably have pretty well one sock's worth of knitting done, but in the end this is all I'm gonna have to show for it, but that's okay. And now that I have February's Sock Yarn Club to begin, then I'm going to switch attention from these to that pair of socks for now. So you probably won't see these for a couple of weeks. In the meantime, I'm going to rip this out, rewind it, and yeah, I'll pick these up again once I've finished my January or February socks, or when I need a bit of a change from those. So yes, that is all the knitting. So as I just briefly mentioned, we did go away for a little bit of a getaway last week. We went up to Manning Provincial Park. That is a large park that is about an hour and a half drive east of where we live. And it is winter there. It's in the mountains, higher elevation, and there is a ski hill there, and there are also cross-country ski trails and snowshoe trails. So I am not a skier. My husband does ski. We went together once when we were dating, and we always said if we'd been married, we probably would have been divorced after that. I did not take to it very well. I was finding it frustrating, and he was finding it frustrating watching me finding it frustrating. So we had spent the morning together, and then after lunch we kind of went our separate ways. I went back to the Bunny Hills, he went skiing, and then we were able to stay friends. But I have never skied since. But a few years ago, we were on a kind of a winter getaway with his work, and went snowshoeing. You know, I had gone as a teenager with guiding once, but he had never snowshoed, and we both really enjoyed it. It's quite easy to do, and we have kept talking about how we've got to go again, and we never have gotten around to it. And so we had talked about going like a week ago Saturday. It just didn't work out, and then we started talking about maybe going away for a few days there and doing some snowshoeing. So that's what we ended up doing. They had like a stay and play kind of package deal, and so we stayed 2 nights at their lodge and went snowshoeing the day we got there, and then the next day, and then we came home the following day on Friday. The weather was beautiful, sunny, clear, gorgeous. And the first day we did basically a beginner's trail, very simple, not much change in elevation, and kind of got our feet wet, so to speak. So we hiked up past this little lake. It's called Shadow Lake, which we could hardly see because it was covered in ice and snow, and it took us a bit to realize that, oh, this must be the lake. And then the trail comes out at the foot of one of the ski hills. So we had packed a lunch, so we ate our lunch there. We were joined by several whiskey jacks. Those are gray jays or Canada jays, they're also called. And at the slightest sight of food, they will come and beg. So I've got some pictures of those here, and then we saw another one, or another few I should say, on our way back down the trail. So yeah, once we had snowshoed that day, then we checked in and went for dinner at the pub that night, and got up the next morning, did it all over again. This time we had a more challenging trail, and it led from the lodge first of all to a campground, and that's actually a campground where we stayed on our honeymoon. The day we got married, we stayed that night in a hotel, and then we went camping. And our first night was at Cold Spring Campground in Manning Park, and I did not sleep the entire night because I could hear rocks falling all night long. And I just kept thinking that the hillside was going to come caving in on us. And the next morning when we got up and drove along, carried on our way, and I got a look at the bank beside the road where the little rocks were falling, I was just like, really? That's what I stayed up for? Because even though the rocks sounded like this in the dark and the silence, they were in fact like little bits of gravel that were trickling down the slope on the side of the road. Anyway, we snowshoed to the campground, and to get there you had to go up some really high hills and down some really high slopes. So I didn't do some of them very gracefully, but I did do them without falling flat on my face or flat on my backside. And so then you get down to the bottom, and then you actually do a loop of the campground, and then you head back towards the lodge along a canyon trail, which we have done numerous times over the years with ourselves and with our kids. It's actually a loop that takes you from the campground. You can go up one side of the canyon and back down the other. But in this case, there was only one side of it that was open. And it was a little bit intimidating too, because as you're going along on this narrow snowshoe path, you can see there's a slope to your right and the river is at the bottom of this slope. You wouldn't want to slip and fall. But we didn't, and there were a few places where we, stopped and took pictures and stuff. So, and then we came out at the road, and we found out after that if we had crossed the road, there was a path that would have led us back close to the lodge, but we didn't know that, so we ended up walking along the road to get ourselves back to the lodge. But beautiful trip all around. It was so nice to get out in the snow and the blue skies and the fresh air, and enjoy a few meals out. Didn't have to do any cooking, and just nice to have a change of scenery, a change of routine. And then Cameron didn't have to go back to work until yesterday, so he had 5 days off in a row, which I think did both of us a lot of good. So I probably, as I'm talking, I will be including some photos. If not, I'll do a little montage at the end, but probably we'll do it throughout this little conversation. Other than that, not tons going on. The Scotties started on Friday. That is the Canadian Women's Curling Championships, called the Scotties because they're sponsored by a company that does Scotties facial tissue and Purex bathroom tissue and all these other paper products. So that's been fun. We, for those of you who've watched for a while, you know that usually both Cameron and I have curled, and we haven't the last couple of years because of COVID and just being a little bit wary about, well, I had a feeling last year's season would not go or go the whole time, and I was right about that. This year there has been curling, but there's still some restrictions, and just with the uncertainty of this virus, we both sort of took these last couple of years off. We'd like to get back to it in the fall. Hopefully everything's kind of back to normal by then, whatever the new normal, who knows. In the meantime, this is the first curling we've actually watched this year, and we're quite enjoying it. So being able to get lots of knitting done while watching curling. So that just leaves us with something good. And today, something good, it's my granddaughter's 17th birthday. So it's hard to believe she's 17. Now that she's 17, she will have had her learner's license for a year. So theoretically, she can get her driver's license, although it sounds like she's still a little ways off from that. But yes, we have our oldest grandchild is now old enough to drive a car. She was, I think, just about 4 years old when we first met her, when our daughter and our son-in-law got together. So we've seen many changes over the years, and yeah, it's just gone so quickly. It's hard to believe that. So on Friday, the family is all getting together at their place, and we're gonna play some Jackbox. That's for those who don't know, it's like a bunch of different games you can play. You use your cell phone to do it. So there's like a main screen on a TV or a computer, but you use your phone to do the various actions, answer questions and things like that. So it'll be fun, and we get to meet her boyfriend for the first time. She decided that would be a good time. So we're either going to scare him off when we're all together, or hopefully he enjoys the crazy that comes with that many of us all together at once. So yeah, it's going to be a fun way to celebrate. And another something good in a related topic is my mom just turned 85 on Saturday. Sadly, none of the family were with her, but she did have one couple take her out for dinner Friday night, and another couple on Saturday night, and another friend sent her some flowers. My sisters and our husbands and we all got together and arranged for her to have flowers, and also sent her a gift by mail. So the highway, good news, the highway to her place is now open. It opened just last week. I think it might have been actually last Wednesday that it opened. But my mom didn't really want any of us traveling. She's still a little bit worried about travel at this time of year. And also, I think she's just also being very cautious because of Omicron and how easily transmissible it is. And she's quite happy to just be in her little small town among the people that she knows well, and doesn't really want to take the chance of us coming from, an area that is, there's a lot more of the virus around. And so, yeah, for now we're just content with, the mail and messaging and phone calls and all that stuff. So not sure when we'll see her again. I guess sometime later this spring. But all right, I think that does it for this week's episode. So Melanie Gillette and Dorothy Rainey, don't forget to get in touch with me regarding your prizes. Congratulations once again. If you haven't already, head on over to the A Stitch in Time podcast Ravelry group. There's a link in the notes, and check out the Year of the Stash. I can't wait to see what you'll all be knitting this month. Some of you had very productive Januaries, and it's such a great feeling, isn't it, just to finish up some of those old whips and to use up some old stash. I'm quite enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to casting on my January socks later today. So, as always, if you have any questions or concerns, don't hesitate to get in touch with me. And thanks for watching, as always. And I will, if all goes well, see you again next week. So take care until then. Bye for now.